Free and safe elections are the cornerstone of our American democracy. That was the plan of the Founding Fathers as they built the brand new country. However, voting hasn't always been available to all Americans. In the 1700s, those Founding Fathers accepted and even endorsed severe limits on those who could vote. The states generally restricted voting to white males who owned property, and some states also used religious tests to make sure only Christian men could vote. Finally, in 1870, after the Civil War, the 15th Amendment was ratified, eliminating restrictions to voting because of race. But many states, especially southern states, used many barriers such as poll taxes and literacy tests to reduce voting by African American men. Of course, this year we have been celebrating the centennial ratification of the 19th Amendment, assuring women the right to vote. This after 72 years of struggle. However, even after women could vote, some suppression continued, especially among people of color, immigrants, and low-income populations. Finally, in March of 1964, the 24th Amendment was ratified, removing poll taxes. In 1965, Bloody Sunday spotlighted the issue of black voting rights, culminating in the Voting Rights Act, eliminating many of the barriers to voting. The 26th Amendment was passed and ratified in 1971, lowering the voting age to 18 out of respect for military service, especially in Vietnam. In 1975, Congress expanded the Voting Rights Act to protect citizens with language issues by providing voting materials in additional languages and providing multilingual assistance at the polls. In 1982, the Voting Rights Act was extended for another 25 years and included providing more accessible voting for the elderly and people with disabilities. Congress passed the Motor Voter Law, allowing voter registration at driver's license agencies as well as mail-in registrations and at offices offering public services in 1993. The 2000 presidential election highlighted the need for election reform, and in 2002, Congress passed the Help America Vote Act, hoping to streamline election procedures across the nation. This law placed new mandates on states and localities to replace outdated voting equipment, create statewide voter registration lists, and provide provisional ballots to accommodate voters whose name was not on the poll list. It also made it easier for people with disabilities to cast private, independent ballots. Unfortunately, voting and voting rights have continued to be assaulted as a way to suppress votes, especially from people of color. As a result, a new movement by many voter rights organizations across the country has coalesced to fight this suppression. But the most effective way to fight is simply to register as many people as possible and then help them find a way to the polls to cast their vote, or help them to vote absentee. Also, it is important to make sure that voters across America know and understand the voting rules and regulations in their state. The League of Women Voters of Moore County is doing everything possible to inform, educate, and aid everyone in Moore County who is eligible to register and vote. Here are some of the important things every voter needs to know.
What qualifications must I meet to vote in North Carolina?
You must be a United States citizen. You must live in the county where you are registering for 30 days before the date of the election. You must be 18 years old by election day. 16 and 17-year-olds may pre-register to vote. A 17-year-old may vote in a primary election if he or she will be 18 by the date of the general election. You cannot be incarcerated for a felony conviction, including probation, parole, or post-release supervision. Once you have completed your felony sentence or been pardoned, you are eligible to register and vote. Now here are some common questions about registering to vote.
What is the voter registration deadline?
Monday, October 12, 2020.
Can I fax or email my voter registration?
No. First-time voters in a county must mail or deliver the registration in person to the Board of Election office with the original signature.
I've moved. Do I need to change my address?
Yes, online or at the Board of Elections office.
I moved within the county and forgot to change my registration. What should I do?
You can vote early and change your address at the one-stop site, or on election day, get a transfer slip from your old precinct and take it to your new precinct and vote a provisional ballot.
I have a relative who died. What should I do?
Download the form from the Board of Elections website, fill it out, and send it back to the Board of Elections office.
What if I move to a new county after the registration deadline?
Same-day registration is allowed during the early voting period. You must attest to your eligibility by completing the voter registration form and signing it under penalty of perjury, a Class 1 felony. You must also present a document showing your current name and current address.
How do I make other changes to my voter registration? Things like name changes, address changes, or party affiliation.
Other than party affiliation, you may make other changes on a voter registration application, or you may make changes at an early voting site, or use same-day registration at your precinct on election day. For a party affiliation change, you must go to the Board of Elections office.
How do I know that I'm registered or that my changes have been made?
Allow 2 weeks for the Board of Elections to send you your registration card. When you receive the card, check it carefully to make sure it is correct. The card is for your use. You do not need your registration card to be able to vote. You may also check the Board of Elections website at Voter Lookup. And here are some more questions. These are about absentee voting. First, you can vote by mail, also known as mail-in voting. You do not need an excuse to vote absentee in North Carolina. Absentee voting and mail-in voting are the same thing.
Where can I get an application to vote absentee by mail, and how do I return it?
Applications for mail-in voting are available from the Board of Elections office or online on their website. Once the application and certificate is fully complete with all the relevant signatures, it may be taken to the Board of Election office and placed in the container outside the office or returned by the United States Postal Service.
Can applications for a mailed ballot be sent in any time, and how long does it take to receive them?
Yes, anytime before October 27th, 2020. That is the last day to request a ballot by mail. Ballots will be mailed starting September 4th, 2020.
How should mail-in ballots be returned?
Voted ballots inside the return envelope may be sent back by United States Postal Service. They must be received by mail no later than 5 p.m. on the third day following the date of the election, and the postmark must be dated on or before Election Day. They may be returned in person to the Board of Elections office no later than 5 p.m. on Election Day. The return envelope may be mailed or delivered in person to either the Board of Elections office or to an open, one-stop absentee voting site during the early voting period.
Can anyone return my voted ballot?
No, only the voter or the voter's near relative may take possession of the absentee ballot to be returned. Next, we have some questions about voting in person, also known as early voting.
When does early voting start, and how long does it last?
Early voting starts Thursday, October 15th, 2020, and ends Saturday, October 31st, 2020.
Where is early voting held?
There are 4 early voting sites in Moore County. Moore County Agricultural Center is the main site at 707 Pinehurst Avenue, Carthage. Aberdeen Recreation Station at 301 Lake Park Crossing in Aberdeen, at the Pinehurst Community Center, 210 Rattlesnake Trail in Pinehurst, and finally at the Vass Town Hall, 140 Alma Street in Vass.
What are the hours for the early voting sites?
The hours are the same for all 4 sites. Weekdays from 8 a.m. to 7:30 p.m., on Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., and on Sundays from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m.
Who can vote at early voting sites?
Registered voters in Moore County can go to any early voting site in the county. On Election Day, registered voters must go to their own precinct polling place. North Carolina voters are not required to show a photo ID. The law was enjoined by a federal district court on December 31st, 2019. This information on registering and voting in Moore County and North Carolina is proudly presented by the nonpartisan League of Women Voters of Moore County. For further information or other questions, please contact the Moore County Board of Elections at the information on your screen.